Hi dear students, today I'm going to talk about issues, that is ethical issues in behavior management and implication for inclusion, which is very important. As a teacher, you need to follow some sort of code of ethics, which is very important when you deal with special education need and disability in the classroom. So let us move and understand. See, you have to understand the concept. Classroom management involves encouraging students to change their behavior. Yes, exactly. So however, before and during any change process, the following ethical issues must be discussed, must be considered. Okay, you must understand that. So let us see what is those. See, model appropriate leadership. This is very important. See, when the students see us, they follow us, right? So student must see the educator behavior as a positive, not a negative. If you behave negatively in the classroom, the students itself, they follow your direction. So to do this, the educator must develop a relationship of genuine caring, okay, trust, respect with the child. So the child will then model her or his behavior after educator behavior. So when you behave, child behave. When what I do, the child do. Okay, so you need to understand, which is very important. Leading the person, which is very important. How you walk, the child walk. How you pull, the child comes. So this is how you need to understand. Model appropriate leadership. That is your first ethical issue, which you need to remember, which you need to understand. This is first, we can say, a standard, okay, of ethical code of conduct. And then you have self discipline. See, because the self discipline is the goal of behavior management. Yes, because in behavior management the discipline is very important, so teachers should encourage it in the classroom as well. So teacher must encourage the students for the self discipline. By building the respect and the trust, the child will begin to feel the need to control his or her own behavior. Okay, so this respect and trust can be fostered by positive interaction, by giving the reinforcement, by giving lot of positive call to the parents, and lot of things like in activities, engaging them in activities can help them to improve the self discipline, which is very important. Now let us see next one. Match experience to the students. Okay, see here, children should have a positive experience in the school. They must never talk about the bad of the school. See, an experience is usually positive if it is within the developmental stage of the child and has a meaning for the child. If not, what happened? They will experience which is not appropriate. So this is what you need to remember. Match the experience of the student. If the student's experience doesn't matches as per the age level, it's not going to work. So that's why they should not talk about a bad thing about the school. Child is very small and he's talking about bad, which is not appropriate to her, or his age. Child is just 5 years, how we can talk? No. So how the child talks when you say, okay, so make sure you teach a right experience to the student as per the age. Next one is your show empathy, which is very important. That means it should connect to your heart. It should connect the mind to the heart. Okay, so here what happened, the educator need to consider the child's problem objectively rather descriptively. Okay, to deal with them. Always if you take the hunter and say sit here, they're not going to understand. So you need to understand the problem with objectively, with the emotion. Okay, so emotion inhibits the objective thinking, while empathy allows us to view the problem from different perspectives. You have to, if the child has a problem, you need to view in a different way. You need to view differently. Then only it is going to work. Then only your target will be achieved. So that also you need to understand as a teacher, because you cannot, come here, sit here. No, you should not understand the problem with the feelings, with the interrelating with different situation, perspectives, factors or indicators which triggers the child. Then fifth one is your expectation. Here, the teacher must communicate to children their belief in each child's ability and demand the highest achievement from them, which is very, very important. Okay, so teacher must communicate to children their belief in each child abilities. So you have this ability, then you demand the highest achievement. If the child don't have that ability and you're demanding which is not appropriate, it's not going to work. So high expectation, you need to just think over. If I'm asking the child to do this, whether child has the ability to do or not, that you need to understand and keep in your mind. And then freedom and independence to function. Yes, this is very important. So children should be allowed as much as independent to function as possible, because the children has to explore, because children has to sorry, because children has to explore themselves. Limited exposure, limited needs. If you establish, the child may not be able to function properly when they come out in the society. So limit need to be established to avoid undue failure and injury. Students should be allowed to experience the logical consequences of their action. Okay, let them experiment themselves, let them do some sort of exposure, let them do some sort of creativity things. Don't stop them. So this must be done to develop the self-reliance and independence, because children with special education need, they are restricted first of all with their cognition. As a teacher, you also must restrict the child, but give more exposure. Don't restrict. If the child has that ability, if the child wants to do, okay, so allow them to experiment the new things. They will be learning as for sure. Principle of normalization. Now here what happened, see, the child must be allowed to function in the normal environment as much as possible, as far as possible. So child, if you stop, oh, you have this kind of disability, you're not allowed to sit in the in the group. That means you're not normalizing the child, you are just segregating, you are just disintegrating the child, so you're not involving. That is against the inclusion. So make sure that concept of normalization you understand. Then principle of fairness. Yes, see, the intervention must be fair and allow the child to succeed in the school. It's not like you are giving high preference to one student and another low preference to another students. No, it should be in the base of equality. So if the consequences are applied, they must be appropriate with the regards to the degree. So whatever the intervention it should be a fair, it should be, there should be no bias actually. Okay, so that you need to remember, principle of fairness. You should not judge the results. You should not judge the results in like no, he has got 20 marks, another got 20 marks. Sorry, first guy got around 20 marks, another guy got around less than 20. So you're not going to increase the marks, or you're not going to change the marks. So that should be there as a teacher in you. Then principle of respect for dignity and worth of individual, that is very, very important actually. So the intervention must provide the student an opportunity to learn or improve, to master control over the student's environment without degrading the individual as a human being. As I said, you give the individual opportunity. Whatever the intervention you are teaching, it should help the child. If you're teaching without use, that means there is no use for that. There is no what do you say, conceptless. So make sure that whatever you teach, it improves certain skill of the child, so that they can learn, and when they go they can live independent. So that is why it is very, very important, the respect for the dignity whatever you teach. Okay, now here the continuum of behavior intervention. See, the educator should use the intervention which least restricts the child in the classroom. Okay, so over restricting the child impose and students right within the classroom. So you need to check it out, the intervention strategies, how to handle the behavior, whether you're going to restrict or you're going to over restrict. So that you need to see the various strategies, which I'm going to talk on this later, about the behavior interventions, which is very very important. Okay. So, continuum of behavior intervention is very very important for the special educators, as you know, go to the classroom and handle the students with ADHD, with the intellectual disability, or some attention seeker, or some other daydreamer child. So that is very very important. And behavior change must be a rational and well planned. Correct. So the behavior must be a behavior which hampers the child performance in the classroom. Okay, so the educator must have a rationale for changing the behavior. You just go and come and say no. If you don't, if you as a teacher, if you don't think over that I have to change the behavior of that child which is having that problem, you're not a teacher. Okay, so and follow, make sure that you follow the behavioral change procedure, which results in the implementation of behavioral strategy, which is very very important, which doesn't violate the code of ethics, which doesn't violate which doesn't allow you to obligate to do that. So which is very important perspective. So you must think over twice when talk to the parents, when you talk to the teacher, when you talk to the when you teach to the student, so that you need to understand the ethical issues, the code of ethical issues, which is very important. And the last one is your consent. Yes, taking a consent from the parent is very important regarding your child if you want to deal. So the educator should be sure to notify whatever you are doing to the child to the parents. Okay, because it's a management policy, it's a management procedure where you need to obtain the consent from the parents, from the stakeholder, whoever dealing the child with intellectual disability or any other developmental disability. So this practice will help avoid a conflict over the behavior intervention. So make sure that you share everything whatever you are doing with your child in the classroom, in the center, or wherever, whatever kind of intervention you do. So I hope you have understood these 11 ethical issues, so you can practice, you can implement, at least you have got some sort of knowledge. Okay, if you want in detail, I'll try to make some another video and give a link for you so that you can go through it. Okay then, see ya.